What triggered the serpent? What bothered the serpent? In the story, why is the serpent not happy?
Like within Christianity, I think the prevailing view in the garden, the serpent is synonymous with Satan. Does that idea exist within Judaism?
The serpent is basically trying to seduce Eve into behaving like an animal. So let's think about the serpent at that period in time. So there's some very unique, striking features about the serpent. Number one, it could talk. How interesting. The Bible tells, the Torah says that it can think. Not just can think, it was of all the beasts in the field, it was the most highly intelligent. It could walk, okay? It could walk. So walk, talk, highly intelligent, and it really was a connoisseur of good food. In fact, the punishment is that the serpent, everything will eat will taste like dust. So let's think about this for a moment. This serpent could walk, talk, enjoyed good food, and was highly intelligent. What does that remind you of? A creature that can walk, talk, think, and likes good food.
Human?
Yeah, exactly. If there was competition for the human, it would be whatever that is. The only thing is it's an animal. Now we're going a little deep. I don't know if I've ever done this with my audience. So if a creature could walk, talk, think, and enjoyed good food, why is that creature not human? So the serpent is making the argument to Eve that whatever you feel you should do. That's what the animal is. So yes, the serpent is giving Eve terrible advice, trying to instruct Eve just to follow her feelings. The fruit looks good, and she's going, but God said. And the serpent is going, I'm paraphrasing, like, who cares what God says? We're in the animal world, we do whatever we feel. Now, if you want to go, we can take this a little tighter for your viewers. I think they'll enjoy this. What is the event that happens right before the serpent's encounter with Eve in Genesis 3? What triggered the serpent? What bothered the serpent? In the story, why is the serpent not happy? Adam just encountered all the animals, all the creatures, saw their character, gave them a name, and was ultimately dejected because none of them were appropriate for him for a helpmate. So let's think about it. If there was a contest of who could possibly make it as a candidate, like the dating game, like who could possibly go on a date with Adam? Was it the hippopotamus? Really? No, that's silly. The only creature that had a shot at the dating game would have been whatever that serpent is. And the serpent was rejected because, after all, it is still an animal. And that's what's going on. So, yes, on a very simple level, it's the evil inclination. The only critical thing is that be careful. Judaism and Christianity we use the same terms, Satan. So we could say that's Satan, fine. But in the Christianity, Satan is an independent agent, originally a great angel that eventually went into rebellion against God. That's Lucifer. There's nothing like that in Tanakh. And in Judaism, Satan was created by God in order to seduce us, to cast forth blandishments. In turn, we need to resist them. And God says in Deuteronomy 30, you can do it. You can make it. Paul will change those words in Romans chapter 10.
You know, along those lines, the hereafter is no free will, right? Just like apparently Satan doesn't have any free will.
Right.
How does that work? You're in heaven.
Question.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? Like, could you imagine that you don't have, like, what does that mean, I don't have free will? What people think no free will means is we become like your computer doesn't have free will. If you open up Microsoft Word and you type in a word, and as long as everything is hooked up properly, your computer doesn't go, no, you don't want to send that. There's no free will. If you type in the letter L, the letter L is going to appear on your monitor. There's no free will. That is not what no free will means. Here's what no free will means. You're a vegan, we found out, and I'll bet you cook, right? Because you've got to prepare your salads, you got to you got to do a lot of chopping, right, as a vegan, right? I don't have to ask you, do you ever cut yourself in the kitchen? And the answer is, yeah, but you didn't do it deliberately. And when you cut yourself or you burn yourself, you did it because you weren't being careful. And you probably went, boy, am I a dummy. I forgot that pot is hot. So in the kitchen, you have no free will. What that means is you understand that by sticking your hand in a pot of boiling water, you're going to hurt yourself, so you don't do that. That means you don't have free will because the consequences are obvious to you. The only thing is you might inadvertently touch something, and that's why there's an unintentional sin in the Messianic age. So no free will doesn't mean that you're a robot. No free will means rather that the consequence of your behavior is so obvious that you just would never do it. Like being in the kitchen, you have no free will. It's not that you really can't stick your hand in the fire. You theoretically could, you just wouldn't, because you understand the consequence. We're living in a world today where the truth is not clear. What we do is we say, go back to the original text, check it out, look at the Jewish people. Did whoever wrote the book keep the promise? But people can't be sure of their position without doing a thorough check of the text, because we're living in a world where there really is free will.
So it's like a fog is lifted, right? Where you can kind of see things a little bit further out.
Right. Imagine how frightening it would be to walk into a kitchen, but you're blindfolded. And there's pots boiling water, flame is on, but you're blindfolded. And then you have this instructions in your ear saying, don't put your hand here, do put your hand here, the food is here. Whoever is speaking to you is saying, if you do that, it's going to be... So all that happens in the Messianic age is the blindfold is taken off. If you follow the instructions, that's the word Torah means. The word Torah literally means instruction. The Torah is simply saying, here's the instructions for life. And the Torah, of course, is not going to play games with your head. By saying you're going to go to hell if you don't listen. Torah is saying if you deviate from this, there's going to be immediate consequences for it. I would submit to you that there may be, I'm not sure, there may be no nation that has suffered more than Jews. We have a very important role in the world to be a light to the nations. If we don't live up to that, we suffer, and we suffer from non-Jews. They're the ones who give us a hard time, and not natural disasters like what happened in Syria and Turkey recently in a terrible earthquake. Jews suffer from the non-Jewish world because we're supposed to lift them up. So the Torah is giving you instructions on how to live your life.